Welcome back, Year 3. Okay, another diary must. A diary must tell the events in chronological order. That means they must have what happened in the right order. So, for example, you wouldn't say, I woke up at 7 o'clock. I then had my tea at 10 o'clock. I went out for a walk at 2 o'clock. I then went to bed at 9 o'clock. You wouldn't have those events in the incorrect order. You would put them in the correct order, and that means in chronological order. So, as the events happened. Okay, let me show you this. So in the diary, we usually write about the events in the order of our day and the order that they happened. And we only include the most important events or the most interesting events. So which of these would you include in your diary? Okay, I ate breakfast. Could be important. We visited the most amazing museum. An exhibit came to life. We had to evacuate the museum. I had a nap. Pause the video here and I want you to think, which ones would you include in your chronological diary, or which ones would you not? Put a tick or a cross next to them. Okay, what did you decide? Should we see if we've got the same? Okay, so I wouldn't really include I ate breakfast, although it's an event. This day seems like there was a very eventful day. I wouldn't think including breakfast would be needed in there. However, including that we visited the most amazing museum is a key event. And then an exhibit came to life. Well, that's amazing. And then after that, we had to evacuate the museum. Oh my goodness. I think after all that, I would have needed a nap as well. So that's why we've included the nap. So, for example, you might want to choose to include the information about breakfast, but it needs to be something that's really relevant. And imagine if you were having a really unusual breakfast, then I would include it. But if it was just your normal everyday breakfast, I don't know if you'd need to include it in there. Okay, now I'm going to think about emotions and feelings. Now remember that your diary is a secret place to write the truth about how you feel and what's happened in the day. It's a place where you can record all of your feelings. So it might include feelings and hopes and fears that you wouldn't really want anyone else to know about. You want it to be all about your personal thoughts and feelings. So, for example, where have these diary writers described their feelings? So I have two here. Egypt is a rich, powerful country, and although I am nervous about ruling it, I would rather do so alone. Yesterday, feeling relieved, we reached the island of South Georgia and then completed a day-long trek to find the whaling station. Pause the video here and have a look at your sheet. Which of those would you underline to show the emotions, feelings? Welcome back. Okay, shall we see if we had the same answers there? Excellent. So here in the first one, I would definitely include that I am nervous. That's a feeling, isn't it? You're feeling worried and emotional and worried and nervous about something. I would rather do so alone. Makes you think that, well, they don't want to do it with anybody else. That's again another feeling. They want to be on their own. Feeling relieved sometimes can be a little bit of an emotion. Oh, I'm so glad that's over. It's a feeling and it's a bit of it's the end of that. Do you get those as well? Excellent. I'm really pleased. Okay. So for some reason it's highlighted them already, but never mind. Now let's have a look at the extract below, and we're going to identify the feelings that the writer has used. Dear Diary, and I've highlighted here, could things get any worse? Not only that stupid dog from next door destroyed my favourite football by biting into it. My mum also told me that we had to go to Grand's house for a week in the summer. There's nothing to do there and it's so boring. And Gran doesn't even have a TV. Who doesn't have a TV these days? So what I've done there is I've highlighted the emotions and the feelings. Now the first part there, clearly the writer is feeling very upset, deflated, fed up. Could things get any worse? And then we've got another feeling about that stupid dog from next door and his favourite football. So these are all feelings. Now I'm thinking as well, he might be feeling a little bit emotional about going to Gran's. I think he might be a little bit cross about it. What do you think? So there as well, he's also talked about it's being boring. Ugh, boring. He's feeling really boring. And then he's getting really cross again. Who doesn't have a TV these days? Now, what I'd like you to do is have a little look at this passage. And what I'd like you to do is highlight the feelings. Sorry, I'm going to say that again. I want you to have a look at this passage below and select the words that indicate how the author is feeling. Use your pencil to highlight those feelings and pause the video here. Okay, welcome back. Should we move on? Excellent. Okay. Now, another must when we're writing diaries is using time conjunctions and time adverbials. Now, I know you have worked on this before year 3, so I reckon that you're going to be amazing at this. So things like after that, before lunch, until sunset. So a diary is usually describing lots of events. And to make sense of these events that's happened, it's useful to include time conjunctions and adverbials. If we just use one word such as then, to link the events in our diary, it can get very boring. And also, we wouldn't know what time the different events happened. If we just said, then I went to the park, then I came home, then I had my dinner, then I had a bath, then I went to bed. We wouldn't know what time all those things were happening. We wouldn't know if you went to the park in the morning or in the afternoon. So it's really important to include those time adverbials and those time conjunctions to make the writing interesting. And also, so you know for your chronological order exactly what events happened next. So let's have a little look at the examples below. Later, we will organise a lavish funeral for father that will last for days, with plenty of music, as he would have wanted. After hearing the news of my father's death, I overheard members of the court discussing what is to happen. Pause the video here, and I want you to think about what words there are time adverbials. What would you underline there? Welcome back. Shall we see if we have the same? Let's see. Did you underline later? Excellent. Well done. I'm so pleased that you did. Later, we will organise a lavish funeral for my father that will last for days, with plenty of music, as he would have wanted. After hearing the news of my father's death, I overheard members of the court discussing what is to happen. Excellent. Now it's your turn. So what I'd like you to do is have a look at this text that's in your worksheet, and I want you to underline the time adverbials, but be careful because there might be more than one in each of those sentences. Pause the video here now. Okay, shall we check together now? Okay, let's see. So I woke up very early. Now, very early tells me what time that's going to be happening. Just before 5 a.m. Another time adverbial there. My plans for the day were ruined, weren't they? Now, on the second one, after dinner, I know that this event's going to be happening after dinner. We went to the swimming pool and said to Frankie and said that Frankie could go with me. We got there just in time as they had just put out the inflatables. Later that day, when Gran had gone home, I went over to my friend's house. We played with his new Lego set and it was just brilliant. And then we built a den in the garden. And at 7 p.m, Dad collected me as he had ordered pizza. Did you get the same? If you didn't, highlight those now so you can see where you went wrong. Well done if you got it right though. Okay. Now, let's move on. So here, often in diaries, we use informal language. It's for yourself. It isn't for anybody else. So we'd use the language that we would use as if we were talking to our friends or to our parents. It wouldn't be the same type of language that you would use if you were talking, say, to Mr. Day or even to someone like the Queen. You would change your language around. When you're writing in there, you can use shorter versions of words. You can use words like doesn't, can't, don't, instead of do not and cannot and does not. Remember, this writing is for you. It isn't this kind of writing that you would find in a storybook or a writing that you would find in a newspaper, for example. So it's writing that you would write as if you were speaking to yourself. So, for example, can you believe it? I mean, she just doesn't get it. Why can't she see that I don't want her in my room? Oh, what a day. My teacher's such a meanie. She's always making me do jobs and I just hate it. Do this, do that, she says. I don't think we do that, do we? Okay. Now, we're going to find the features of the diaries all together. So we're going to put everything together, okay? Now, in here, what we're going to be looking at, and I realise I've forgotten to do the same thing again, is what I want you to do is I want you to underline each of the key features. So in green, I'd like you to underline the date for me. And in blue, I want you to highlight the first person and any time adverbials. In purple, I'd like you to highlight the past tense. And in pink, I'd like you to highlight the feelings. So if you have those colours, that's great. If you haven't, maybe just highlight them with your pencil and just put a little note above it of what it is. Okay? So I'd like you to do that now for me. Pause the video here and have a go at that now. Welcome back. Okay, we're going to share now the answers. Mrs. Hand's computer is not working very well today, is it? So here we go. So I'm going to put them all together. I had that at the end, which I should have had at the beginning, but never mind. So, dear diary, yesterday is blue because it's a time adverbial. It's something that happened yesterday, the day before. Yesterday started is our past tense, as usual, but it changed very quickly, very suddenly. As soon as, that's our time adverbial, I entered. Now if you're going into the kitchen, you're entering the kitchen, but because you've already done it, it's entered. Do you remember from yesterday? As soon as I entered the kitchen, I knew, and that's our first person, I knew something was wrong. Now that part there is our introduction. It's a setting the scene of our diary, so we know where this event is taking place. My witch was nowhere to be seen. My food was not in the bowl, and the door was wide open. I began to feel anxious, feelings and emotions, as I noticed the broom and the wand were missing. And can you see there? We've got the was, the were, and noticed of what's happened in the past. We had some feelings and we got our first person in there as well. Now, using the diaries that you had yesterday, what I'd like you to do now is I want you to find all of those features that we've talked about in this video today. The who, the what, the where, the when, which you've already done. And then I want you to now find those new features, time adverbials. Can you also find the feelings and the emotions? Use your pencil or you can use your colours to highlight those. I really look forward to seeing what you've noticed in those diaries. Pause the video here, and when you finish that, I want you to come back because I've got just a little thing for you to do at the end. Welcome back. How did you get on with that? Did you find those feelings and those thoughts? Excellent. Okay, I've just got one more thing now. Can you remember all the things that you need to do a fantastic diary entry? So I'd like you to list now all the features that you'd need. You've just had to go at finding them. You had to go at highlighting them. I want you to now write down all the things a diary must have. So a diary must have what? Can you jot those down now on a piece of paper?